Hello and welcome back to Shadow Boxer, where we learn something new and possibly lose brain cells in the process. So today I just want to cover some basics, and we're going to talk about some Arabic words that you've heard. You may or may not be familiar with them. And then we're also going to talk about the deeds of Islam. So let's get started. The first word I want to discuss is the Sunnah. So the Sunnah is where you're going to find the Hadith, which is the Sunnah is the way of the Prophet. Basically, it's the sayings and the doings of Muhammad. And the Hadith are the accounts of what Muhammad did and what he said. Now, these hadith typically have three gradings, which is Sahih, which means authentic or truthful, Hasan, which means good, and then Daif, which means weak. Each of these gradings are all passing gradings. You have the Sahih, which is the authentic, which is like getting an A on a test. You have Hasan, which is good, which is like getting a B. And then you have Daif, which is weak, which is like getting a C. All of these are passing grades. Anytime you see a Daif hadith, the reason why it's Daif or it's weak is because maybe somebody was sick in the chain of narrations, or they just classify them certain ways. But really, Daif, if it's Daif, you can probably find it elsewhere, like in other hadith or even in the Quran. And we're going to look at an example right now. So we're going to look at this hadith, and it says that in Jannah, which is the Islamic paradise or heaven, you're going to get 80,000 servant boys. Now, if you look at the bottom here, this is a Daif hadith. Okay, so it's weak, but I'll tell you, it still passes. And the reason why it passes is because this is also found in the Quran. I want to look at Ibn Kathir because Ibn Kathir, he's an Islamic scholar, and he's going to give you the interpretation or to help you understand what this verse means. So if you look at it, I'm just going to point out the Arabic words here. This is a wow, it means and this is a la, meaning it's a negative, meaning not or no or does not or do not. And then this is the word bleed, and this is the word, this little section right here, this una. This is, it's like an action. So this is an action happening to this word right here. So what it says is, and they do not bleed. This is talking about the little servant boys that are going to be serving you in heaven, and that they do not bleed, all right? So because this is what your right hand possesses, anybody that knows Islam, what your right hand possesses, you can do whatever you want with them, and they are your slaves, and you can connect the dots. In fact, I'm going to take this little section and I'm just going to post it into the Google Translate, and you'll see that it's popping up that they do not bleed. This has to do with the little servant boys, what your right hand possesses, and what they're there for. So again, even if this is a Daif hadith, a weak hadith, it's still authentic. You can find it in the Quran. So if somebody tries to say, oh, that's Daif, so I don't accept it. No, you do accept it. It has a C rating. It passes. And the reason why is because we can find it elsewhere in somewhere that's authentic for the most part. All right, now we're going to get into deeds, and I think this is really important. I was discussing with a Muslim about how I asked why they can't eat pork. Okay, I already know the reason, but I'm just asking just to make them think and to invoke some thought. So basically, there was some chatter going on in one of these Islamic discords that I was in, and they were saying that you can't eat pork. And of course, I'm like, well, why can't you eat pork? And they're like, well, it's a bad deed. So in Islam, you have bad deeds and good deeds, and on the Day of Judgment, your good deeds have to outweigh your bad deeds. At least that is what the belief is. But if you do a little bit of digging, you're going to see that this is not true. For one, Allah, the Islamic God, tells you that everything that you do has already been predestined for you. There's no free will in Islam. Muhammad also tells you that your deeds, they don't mean anything. In fact, there's a hadith, and it tells you that Allah has already ordained how much adultery you're going to do. So if you're if you're somebody that is an adulterer, well, there's no blame on you, because Allah has already put that in your destiny. It's already been written down. Your deeds, they really don't matter. All right, guys, I think that's it for today. Of course, all the links will be in the description. I want to thank my my Patreon member. I have one. I just want to show you that your money is going to be going to buying some books, and I'm hoping I can get Sahih al-Bukhari. I can only find volume 9, and they range between $100 and $200. So I'm going to be saving up for that. And again, thank you. The links will be in the description, and God bless everyone. Please pray for our Muslim friends.